Hi, this is Capital High School, and we are here to talk to you about Expression Challenge and the teachers at our school that are super creative. Here we go. And here we have Miss Toivonen, who teaches yearbook, video, and computer science. Why did you decide to become a teacher?
First, I didn't want to be a teacher. I just kind of kept going back to my high school days. Can't believe I was able to talk in front of people, or I was able to write something or get interested in specific topics. And the way they inspired all of my classmates and myself, I was like, if I could do that with one student, it would be successful.
Tell us about how you incorporate creativity into your classroom.
It's very, very easy with the video and the yearbook. Computer science is a little harder, but looking at the world today, we've got to actually have creative people in those fields. As I try and give them just a little prompt, just a little snippet, and allow them to expand on different programs they're creating. So it's getting to know the students, finding out their interests, and just kind of letting them run with it. Giving them opportunities to take ownership of their education. You have to provide an environment in your classroom that they're okay to fail, and they take risks. I used to say, give the kids an inch and they take a mile. I think now we want to give them an inch, and so they go and see how far these students can go with that.
Do you see students thrive more when they're able to express themselves freely?
Of course. When you actually when you get to know your students and you dive into their interests and actually ask them to do a project related to those interests and their feelings and their emotions, you get so much more out of them. So when you're asking them to do something that they're passionate about, something that they're sharing about themselves, they tend to go above and beyond. So we have to provide our students enough time to kind of get to know their classmates, fail a little bit, get feedback, and then, with everything that they're passionate about and all their feelings, they can dive into those projects, and you get way more out of your students.
And will you encourage your students this year to participate in the Expressions Challenge?
And I'm very, very excited to take especially some of my yearbook students that are producing some pictures through that, and then some of my video students. We're going to try and think of some prompts to do some very creative things. So I'm excited about that.
And here we have Miss Zakovi. Miss Zakovi, tell us what you teach.
I'm a special ed teacher. I teach kids that struggle, reading, writing, math. They might struggle coming to school too sometimes.
Tell us why you got into education.
I got into education because at an early age, I knew I loved children, and I had a knack for teaching. I had a knack for breaking things down, and I just knew I wanted to do that forever.
Tell us how you encourage students to be creative.
In my classroom, I encourage students to be creative by being themselves. I build relationships with them. My room becomes a place of respect and safety and creativity and fun. They can bring out their own shine. Some of them are poets, and some of them are musicians, and some of them are great artists in all different kinds of means. And so we just celebrate, and as soon as the kids walk in my room, they know they can be who they are.
Do you see teens thrive more when they're able to express themselves freely?
Absolutely. My classroom, again, is one where I build relationships. It's a place where they can come and they can hang out, they can be themselves. And once that happens, magic happens. They feel safe to just be who they are. They just open up, and I give them all those venues that their talents are recognized. They just blossom. So it just comes out in all different kinds of ways that surprise me all the time.
Do you plan on encouraging students to participate in the Expressions Challenge?
Absolutely. What I have seen so far this year, my students have kind of taken it on their own without me really choreographing it. I am just super impressed, and I'm going to keep that ball rolling. Go Brew!
All right, here we have Miss Cleveland, and she teaches creative writing and a few other classes. What are they?
I teach senior sci-fi fantasy English, and I also teach a service learning class called Peer Mentoring.
Why did you decide to become a teacher?
I read the novel Catcher in the Rye, and when I read that book, I was like, I can't believe that something I read made me feel this way and said something about who I was as a person. It deepened my humanity, and I thought everyone should experience this. And so that was part of my passion. I love youth, I love being creative, and I love helping deepen my students' humanity because they're our future.
You know the kids love your class. Your whole room is full of fun stuff everywhere. They walk in and you just see them light up. And I think a lot of that has to do with how you encourage creativity in your classroom. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you do that?
So in my class, students know they have to be creative in multiple modes. They create vocab skits that they act out with their friends. They do lots of poetry writing. We do lots of different creative writing techniques because we know our students with their mother language, we want them to embrace it and to learn how to use it in a really beautiful and creative way that not only lets them express who they are, but also talks about their observations of the world and what they see around them. I also have students do paintings and drawings of different aspects that we're reading about or that they would also like to express, because creativity is one of the number one things that we're looking for in the job market even, right? We want people to be creative and innovative. So it's absolutely necessary and essential in education that we teach that.
Let's talk a little bit about how you encourage kids to express themselves, their emotions, happy, sad, any of them, all across the spectrum. Tell us a little bit about how you see teens thrive when they're able to express themselves freely.
It's necessary, and especially I think with this generation where they're constantly in touch with so many people all over the world and they have so much to say, but sometimes they don't always know how to say it. So when we give them more creative modes and they learn to express themselves and find what we call, of course, their voice. And I think that is one of the most important things we can gift them as writers and readers, is finding that voice through a multitude of activities so that students have a voice either through painting or whatever it is, so they get those opportunities to differentiate and express who they are.
They know that no matter what's going on in their life, they're going to be able to find a way to funnel it through your subject and your assignments.
Yes.
Do you think that you will be encouraging your students to participate in the Expressions Challenge?
I do. My students have a multitude, like I said, of modes that we express ourselves with. And so it's a great opportunity to have their work showcased, to show here's who I am as a person, here's what's important to me, social commentary they might have. I definitely want students to get their work out there and to appreciate other people's work. It's so much fun to actually have people embrace the arts and know that it is absolutely essential. It should be one of the number one things we encourage.
All right, here we have Sue Stone, who teaches English. Why did you become a teacher?
Well, a good story. When I was little, I used to play school all the time. I would go into our big kitchen and get my mom's toaster, the blender, a coffee pot, a pot and pan, and put them on the table, and they were my students. And then as I got older, I kept doing this because that's how I would find myself reviewing for tests. So I guess you could say I've been playing teacher most of my entire life, and now it's just what I am and who I am.
Would you tell us how you encourage creativity within your classroom?
Teaching literature, so many options: poetry and projects and essays and speeches, pictures, paintings. We just do it all in there. Hopefully that there'll be something that a kiddo can look back at the end of the year and say, that assignment was fun.
Do you see that teens thrive when they're able to express themselves freely?
I think not only teens, I think everyone. Think about when you're a child and you played imagination games. Why does that have to go away? We should be able to just be who we want to be. I think a lot of times being creative, it does help you to form relationships with your students. I've even had kids, sing and play instruments in class. It just whatever shows them or allows them to just be happy and proud of themselves regardless of what their skills are.
Do you think that you'll be able to encourage kids to participate in the Expressions Challenge this year?
Oh, I think it's fun. Yes, expressions. I mean, great. That's who we are, no matter whether it's a silly face or something we write or a joke we tell. We love to express ourselves.
Here we are with Tom Caffrey, who teaches AP Environmental Science and Earth Science.
But the goal of the game is basically start this warming hot planet, and you pick up these different cards and they indicate different things. You try to get to a cleaner, more livable planet towards the end. It's kind of a cool game, and this kid totally made it up. It was their final project for AP Environmental Science.
Well, I'll be the cat for sure.
Okay, throw these guys.
All right, here we go. Yes.
We're terrible. All right. Oh my gosh, blood again. Okay.
All right.
Anyways,
Why did you become a teacher?
I kind of got into teaching a little later in life. I was a full-time fishing guide. People would have questions about like geology and the mountains and the rocks, and And people enjoyed learning about that stuff. And so teaching them how to cast a fly rod and teaching them about the rocks and the rivers and all like the natural processes that we're experiencing. It was just a good fit for me. And so it was a real natural segue and ultimately becoming a science teacher.
How do you encourage creativity within your classroom?
I'm a big believer in STEAM. You know, there used to be a big push for STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And STEAM, of course, is the addition of art. And I've always kind of incorporated art in my teaching just because, you know, when you can express yourself with your own artistic abilities, whether those are great abilities or not so great abilities, you tend to remember the information really well. When you walk in my room, it's kind of full of the students' art and former projects, and it inspires conversation. You know, kids are like, what's that all about? It's pretty cool. Helps the kids remember. It looks really groovy. You know, that's, if anything, it makes my room beautiful. And I think learning is supposed to be fun.
How do you think that kids thrive when they're allowed to express their emotions?
Sometimes it's easier to draw or to paint than it is to say. It's just easier. It's not as confrontational.
You teach an AP class, which takes up a lot of time.
Yeah.
And you're also very creative, and you've been able to incorporate that with a lot of thought and planning. In the future, would you ever do the expression challenge with your students, and how would you do it?
Yeah, I would like to tie it in. Over the summer, I could easily plan and incorporate a lot of these ideas into my lesson plans, which I'm already doing it, just not kind of formally, and so I think it'll be a real seamless event. And I'm telling you, half the time I look around, or more than that, kids are smiling, you know, enjoying what they're doing, and that says a lot. If you can get kids to smile while they're doing like labs and, you know, graphing information, you're probably doing something right. And a lot of that has to do with the format, you know, adding the artistic component to it really helps with the enjoyment. And if they're having fun, I'm having fun.
All right, here we have Ms. Braco, who teaches drama and English. Why did you become a teacher?
It's something that I've always wanted to do. I tortured my sisters when we were little and made them play school. I was the teacher, obviously, all the time, and they didn't like it very much because I kept giving them homework. It just seemed like such a wonderful vehicle to use my love for theater. I worked in Los Angeles for a while after college, and it didn't take me very long to realize that this is where my heart belongs.
Tell us how you encourage creativity within your classroom.
I think a lot of it comes from, it's going to sound funny, but a lack of structure. And that doesn't mean that it's a free-for-all. It just means that there's no set answer that they've been sort of taught to expect. There is no real right answer in life, and so they need to start thinking in empathic ways and, you know, walking in somebody else's shoes for a while. And I'm lucky because I have English and drama, so that's what we do, is we read somebody's perspective, we talk about it, we act through it, and we, in order to honor those perspectives and really understand them and personify them well, we have to understand somebody who may be completely different from us. And I think opening up high school students to the possibility that there's so many other people out there, but really at our core we're not that different, I think is a great place to start expanding writing and dramatic expression.
Do you see teens thrive more when they're able to express themselves, and how do you see that?
I think there's such intense pressure with social media and looking a certain way and behaving a certain way. It's just such a free space that they can try new things, and it doesn't mean that they're forever labeled that thing. It just means that they're trying something out. And I think that idea of freedom and just creative wiggle room gives them that ability to thrive.
Do you think that you will be encouraging your students to participate in the Expressions Challenge this year?
Absolutely. I'm thrilled that Walgreens has started this program, that we need more opportunities for kids to feel like they can share what it is to be a teenager. And so for us as adults to come to them and say, you know, how are you really feeling? Or what is it like to be 15 in this world? I just think more of that. Yes, absolutely. I'll be recommending this expressions program to my students.
Expressions Challenge! Expressions Challenge! Expressions Challenge! Expressions Challenge! Expressions Challenge! Woo! Expressions Challenge! Right on.
To learn more about expressions, visit expressionschallenge.com or DM them.